Ve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padhan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. With prayers to Lord Krishna, with prayers to Srila Prabhupada, our beloved founder Acharya, whose 125 years of birth anniversary that we are celebrating this year. Today we will just do our weekly visit on Gita wisdom, and I want to specifically also welcome many others who are here on invitation on the inauguration of a special program that's going to be henceforth offered to you every week. And I heard that there are people from all over the Gulf and other places. So a very warm welcome to all of you. Hare Krishna. So I have picked up this shloka from the Bhagavad Gita as both as an inaugural rendition for those who are new here, and also as part of our series in Gita Wisdom. The shloka is from the 5th chapter. It is the 22nd shloka. If you've got the Bhagavad Gita in front of you, 5.22. Okay, and if you don't have, it doesn't matter. You can also go online if you want to vedabase.org and you can check it up there also. And I think it'll be on the screen for all of you to see also. You can check it up. You can spotlight the screen if necessary and see it. In the 5th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, verse 22, there is the shloka, Yehi samparsaja bhoga dukkayonaya evate adyantavantahi kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. Do you want to repeat that with me? One after the other. I will just chant the line once and you can repeat that line once. Okay? Yehi samparsaja bhoga dukkayonaya evate adyantavantaha kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. Once more. Yehi samparsaja bhoga dukkayonaya evate adyantavantah kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. Oh, great. Thank you. Yehi samparsaja bhoga dukkayonaya evate adyantavantah kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation: an intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery which are due to contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not delight in them. Purport: material sense pleasures are due to the contact of the material senses, which are all temporary because the body itself is temporary. A liberated soul is not interested in anything which is temporary. Knowing well the joys of transcendental pleasures, how can a liberated soul agree to enjoy false pleasure? In the Padma Purana, it is said, Ramante yogino anante satyananda chidatmani iti ramapade nasau param brahma vidhiyate. The mystics derive unlimited transcendental pleasures from the absolute truth. And therefore, the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, is known as Rama. In the Srimad Bhagavatam also, it is said, Nayam deho deha bhajam nirloke kashtan kaman arhati vidbhujam ye tapo divyam putraka yena sattvam shuddhayet yasmad brahma saukyam tvanantam. My dear sons, there is no reason to labor very hard for sense pleasure while in this human form of life. Such pleasures are available to stool eaters, hogs. Rather, you should undergo penances in this life by which your existence will be purified. And as a result, you will be able to enjoy unlimited transcendental bliss. Therefore, those who are true yogis or learned transcendentalists are not attracted by sense pleasures, which are the causes of continuous material existence. The more one is addicted to material pleasures, the more he is entrapped by material miseries. Om Tat Sat. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hare Krishna and welcome. This is an interesting shloka from the Bhagavad Gita, and it is a key to many aspects of the material life that we lead, and also to the goal of human life. And it is necessary for every human being, as Prabhupada states in this purport, to look beyond the temporary enjoyment into a permanent position that all of us have. Ramante yogino ante satyananda chidatmani. The yogis, they know this, so they want to actually take pleasure in the eternal and not in the temporary. Right? You know that? Asatoma sadgamaya tamasoma jyotirgamaya. Everybody knows this. So, how to place ourselves from the temporary into the eternal? This is supposed to be the goal of human life. And amazingly, sometimes people miss the point. Even if they are very religious, they miss the point. And they can get stuck up with religion itself. If you don't know how to utilize religion to achieve Sat from Asat, then you can get stuck in religion. Religion means codes of human behavior in this world, laws given to us by God, dharma. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. You know that very famous shloka. When religion goes out of order or people stop following rules and regulations and they go away from civilized human life, then Krishna says, I descend and set right religion. But in religion itself, it's like a trap. There are lots of rules and regulations, and within the rules and regulations, you can enjoy. In other words, it is authorized enjoyment. Illicit enjoyment means outside of the rules and regulations of religion. A human being is allowed to have material enjoyment. But since he's a civilized person, a civilized human being, there are rules and regulations. Within this you can have dharma viruddha bhuteshu kamo asmi bharatarshava. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying, sex life within religious principles is myself. I am myself that. So that's why a civilized human being is supposed to be within the codes of religion. Then only he's a human being. And that is sometimes difficult for people now, especially in Kali Yuga. I want no boundaries, no rules, no regulations. Allow me to do whatever I want. Throw away all the fences, throw away all the boundaries, throw away all moral regulations. Leave it to me. Whatever I feel is good, I adopt it, I do it. Who decides good and bad? So morality has been relativized, become relative to each person, what I think is good. Not somebody telling you what is good. Imagine, even within man-made rules and laws, if it was like that on the traffic road. It's a very interesting example to take is the traffic road and the traffic principles on the road. You may have a very nice car and you may enjoy riding it. And you can actually sit in the car and change the gear and put on the music and put on the AC and the nice setting and the beautiful seating cushions and tra la la la, and you can with the power steering and drive it so smoothly and whiz past so many shops and so many places and enjoy the driving, right? And you follow all the rules. Turn left, yes, turn left. No right, no right. Low horn, don't put horn. School here, okay, I'll not play the horn. One way, okay, I'll do the one way. Speed limit 40 kmph, okay, I'll keep 40 kmph. Everything I will follow. But if somebody taps you and say, excuse me, where are you going? Shh, don't disturb me. I'm following rules and regulations and I'm enjoying my ride. It doesn't matter where I go. Isn't that stupid? Isn't that stupid? Of course it is. Of course it is stupid. Because if you get absorbed in only your rules and regulations and everything and don't know where you're going, what's the use of you driving? What's the use of you having a car? The most important thing is to know where you're going. So when we follow religion and rules and regulations also, we must know that we have a destination. Asatoma satkamaya, tamasoma jyotirgamaya means that I have a goal in life and I'm achieving that. So from the temporary into the permanent, for my transition, I'm following these rules and regulations because I want to go there. I know my destination, right? So similarly, in traffic signal, you will see that only a buffalo will go without following it. No rules and regulations for buffalo. It's very common here in South India to see these huge buffaloes with curved horns. They will raise their nose and just walk across to the red light and all the cars are waiting. Only the buffalo goes. Nobody says anything to the buffalo. He has no rules, regulations. Why? He's an animal. He's an animal. He's not a civilized human being. Civilized human being follows rules and regulations, right? So if you do not follow that and if you become stuck with rules and regulations so that you can enjoy material life alone and not knowing what's the goal of life, then also you're not meeting. You may be very religious. You may be very good follower. Oh, today is fasting, I'm not fasting. Today is, pradosham, I am not eating that, I am not doing this. Today is Ekadashi, I won't do that, this thing. I will not go, I will not touch this thing with this. I will not, without taking a bath, do this 100,000 rules and regulations. But excuse me, what are you following these rules and regulations for? I don't know. My father did it, my grandfather did it, my great-great-grandfather did it. I will also follow. Our Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur told us a story, Prabhupada's guru, about the well in the house, the ancestry well. that was dug by my great-great-great-grandfather. And the well is there. Everybody in the family always drew water from the well for cooking and used that well. It is a family well. And the father kept saying, it is our heirloom. Coming down in the generations, we must use the well. But Papa, there are 2 puppies dead inside the well. There is also a dead squirrel in the well. How can we drink? No, we have to do that because ancestrally it is our well and our great-great-grandfather and the Shraddha ceremony that I do. They will suffer curse from them. We have to. But we will get disease and we will die if we drink it. No, we have to follow this well. And they all drank the water of the well, because father did not allow, and slowly one by one in the family died, and the father was the only one alive sitting on top of the well and said, we have to follow whatever comes. Fanatically follow rules and regulations without knowing what is happening, what is the purpose, what is the use. Sometimes we see in religion, that is why people call us, the outside world and the secular world, rationalistic people say, you are so dogmatic, fanatic followers of rules and regulations, but you don't know where you're going, what you're doing. And sometimes it's true. It's true. So that's why today I want to tell you a nice story about fanatic following of certain things and just having gratification and material enjoyment and wasting the human life. So while there is UN General Assembly going on and it's finished maybe now, and while there is Taliban occupying Afghanistan, and when there is coronavirus everywhere, and there's everything, somebody will ask, what are you speaking about? Goat Katha. What speaking about goats? I'm going to tell you a story about goat because it's from the Bhagavatam. And the Bhagavatam deals with goats, elephants, birds, beasts, and half man, half lion. It deals with all sorts of fantastic creatures. It's the greatest adventurous story ever. Compilation of so many wonderful stories with great philosophy. So I picked up, because goat katha is not very common. I thought I should speak to you goat katha. It is uncommon. And it's very interesting. There are 2 goat kathas in the Bhagavatam. One which is very popular, you must be knowing, that Daksha got a goat head. It's a big goat katha. I'll briefly tell you that. That goat katha is that Daksha is one fellow like this, very pakka follower of rules and regulations of religion, and went round and round, yani kani chapapani, only with the rules and regulations, and got nowhere. Finally, he got a goat head, because he made very big offense to Lord Shiva. And we know that story of Daksha and his son-in-law Shiva and Shiva's wife Sati, and how she gave up her body in the sacrifice of her father Daksha. Daksha, first of all, insulted and offended Shiva by calling him all sorts of names, saying, you're a monkey, you got monkey type of eyes, you're a useless person, you're like this, you're like that, everything, out of enviousness. But he was married to his daughter, his pet daughter, Sati. And the story goes that he was becoming very famous and he had occupied big positions, and he was doing these huge yajnas and homas. And then in one of them, he had not even invited his daughter, not even invited Shiva, who was supposed to be a recipient of the fruit of that sacrifice. And in this way, Shiva's wife begged, Sati begged, I want to go, I'm very attracted, my relatives are all going, and they're all coming up dressed so wonderfully as a woman, and her desire to be in a social festival and talk to everybody and have a good time. Husband said, Shiva said, don't go, your father will insult you. The insult will be so bad you can't take it up. He was very wise, and he told his wife, don't go, your father is not like what you think. He's very much against me. So she said, no, I will go anyway, you are not coming, that's okay, I'll go. And she went. She went there, her father did not even look at her. Her mother welcomed her, her sisters welcomed her, her father didn't even bother to look at her. He knows she had come, and he insulted her by not even looking at her own daughter. And anyway, Shiva has not come. But even his daughter, he so much insulted her that she became wild and angry. And then she spoke against her father in the sacrifice. She sat down there and with powerful yoga, she committed suicide in front of everybody. It's a very famous, wonderful section of the Bhagavatam. And then she died and everybody started speaking. My gosh, the father didn't even speak one word to her. If he had spoken one word to her, the daughter wouldn't have passed away. How hard-hearted this Daksha is. He is very proud of himself. He is doing all these yajna, homa, religious things, and he doesn't care. He has become hard-hearted. It's a very poignant story. And she went, and when Lord Shiva heard that his wife had passed away like this and this thing, he became extremely angry. And he created a demon. And that demon, Virabhadra, he went there and completely finished. He made a dvamsam of the whole sacrificial arena. And he caught hold of Daksha and cut his head, chopped off his head and threw it in the sacrifice. So the news was a massive news. All over the universe it went around. My gosh, what happened? Imagine such a news goes all over. My gosh, whatever happened? Right? And then they all went to all the devatas and everybody. It's a universal problem. Huge scam, scandal, and whatever you want to call it. And Brahma went with all of them, went to meet Lord Shiva and pacify him. But Shiva was very cool, very calm. And he said that I did this to teach these people a lesson. They are so childish. You don't know how to follow the religious thing properly. And this Daksha fellow, he thinks that I am, envious of him or something. I didn't say any word. But when my wife went away, I thought enough is enough. And therefore they said, please forgive us, let the sacrifice go on. It's for the welfare of everybody and all that. I don't mind. And he said, Daksha will get a goat's head. And he can do the sacrifice with the goat's head. And amazingly, you will see, Daksha got a goat's head and he became very humble and came and paid obeisance to Shiva and said, actually, you have been nice to me. You have been very merciful to me. You have taught me a very big lesson. Now I have understood how I should not become proud of my material activities and my capacity to enjoy and materially be a great enjoyer in everything. I lost my head. And this way he took blessings of Lord Shiva and completed the sacrifice. And when he did the sacrifice in that humble way, from the sacrificial arena, Lord Vishnu himself came because he had purified himself, he had humbled himself, and he came to bless everybody. So this is a great event. This is a great goat story. One. The other goat story is even better, which I've quoted earlier also. This goat story is even more interesting. It's a story, King Yayati. He is known to be a great emperor. In the Mahabharata, you will see the story also. The story of King Yayati, very powerful king, emperor, and fiery Kshatriya, very good ruler, has got a lot of good qualities. But it so happened one day he was going hunting and he chanced upon a well to drink water. But amazing, he looked into the well, he found a nude woman without any clothes, screaming. Ah. A naked lady inside a well. Then he said, what happened? Who did this to you? And then he threw his cloth to her and rescued her. This is a very amazing story. And rescued her, and she brought her out of the well. And he saw that she's a very beautiful looking lady. And she had wonderful features. Then she told him that I am Shukracharya's daughter, one of the most famous Brahmanas in the universe. And this is how I came into being. And she told her story. That actually, I and all my girlfriends together, hundreds and hundreds of them, we were all playing together in the palace gardens. And then we came to this lake. And we all thought we should take a bath and fool around in the water. So we got down, took off our clothes and went into the water, and we threw water at each other and we're playing. And all of a sudden, Lord Shiva and Uma were going on a bull, Nandi. And as soon as we saw, we thought, oh gosh, this is very bad. And we all got out and quickly put our clothes together. When I was putting my clothes together, my friend Sarmishta. She is from a Kshatriya class. She, in a hurry, took my clothes and and she left me searching for my clothes. Sarmishta put off Devyani's clothes. This is Devyani speaking. The famous Devyani, Kacha Devyani story, you know that, in Mahabharata. So she put on clothes, and how dare she put on the clothes? There was a fight between both of them. And then she said, Kshatriya class of people, and the Brahminical lady fighting against the Kshatriya lady. Caste, racism fight happened there. And then the Sarmishta, who had mistakenly taken Devyani's clothes. Devyani was Shukracharya's daughter. So she got very angry and she said, how dare you talk to me like this? I just by mistake only did this, and I was not intentionally doing it. And she got so angry, she's biting her lips and everybody was watching. She caught hold of that Devyani, took away her clothes and dumped her into the well in anger. And then everybody left. She told everybody, go. And she also went. Let her lie there alone for the type of words she used against me. And she was in the well. So as soon as this king, Yayati, was very young and handsome and chivalrous person. In fairy tales, they'll tell you, the person who is going to marry you is coming on a white horse, brandishing a sword, and he will come and take you and go like that. Like a fairy tale. It actually happened in Devyani's life, that such a man did come, and he happened to be the king. And so she said, now you have held my hand. I cannot look at anybody else. I'm a Brahmana woman. I've already been cursed by Kacha. That another story in the Mahabharata is Kacha Devyani story. Kacha came to learn Mrita Sanjeevani, the art of bringing the dead people back to life. And from Shukracharya. So he learned that at that time, Shukracharya's daughter, that is this Devyani, saw Kacha and said, you are such a handsome looking person, so intelligent, one of the best pupils my father has got. And she proposed to him. So he said, Guru's daughter is like respect-worthy for me. How can I marry the Guru's daughter like that? He said and escaped. He didn't want to marry her. She got very angry. And she cursed him and said, you think I am anything less than my father? I curse you will never be able to use that mantra of Mrita Sanjeevani because you refused me. And then seeing that all the time that he has spent has gone wasted, he said, I curse you also. Although you're a Brahmin lady, you would never get married to a Brahmana husband. You'll never get a Brahmana husband. And that is the worst thing. So all curse, counter curse. And then he also left. And then she said, recollecting this to King Yayati, anyway, I'm not supposed to marry. I'll not get a Brahmin husband. So it's by providence, it's by arrangement of the Lord that you have come and I will become your wife. Accept me. And he said, okay. I mean, you're a beautiful Brahmin lady. And what can I expect as a Kshatriya king? I don't mind. And those days, Kshatriyas would have many marriages and they shelter many women. So he said, I don't mind. And she first ran to her father. Devyani ran to her father, Shukracharya, and cried and reported what all happened, what all this Sarmishta did to me, how this wonderful man saved me, and I have given my word, I must marry him. Father was happy. He said, okay, but first before that, let me go to this rascal Sharmishta's father and finish him. He became very angry that my daughter has been treated like this. Brahmins get angry. It's fire. They can destroy the whole race. So he went with his daughter to see Sarmishta and father. Why your daughter threw my daughter in the well? I'm sorry if I'm bringing all sorts of regular politics for you and think, oh, this happens to me in my house also. Neighborhood and everywhere it happens. Yeah, it is just a story like that. But it's got some amazing ending. So she went and Immediately, as soon as he saw Shukracharya coming to his house, the Sarmishta's father went and immediately surrendered to him and paid obeisance. Don't say anything to me. Tell me whatever you want in compensation, I'll do. What can I say? My daughters are like that. They fought, they did all that. I'm not responsible for that. What should I do? You tell me. And he pleased him. So Shukracharya said, okay, this man has surrendered to me already. So he said, you do whatever my daughter wants you to do, you do that. Let her be happy. Because I am aggrieved by seeing my daughter unhappy. So Devyani said, whomever my father decides to marry me to assist me, the Sarmishta should come as my servant maid. Throughout her life, she'll be my servant maid. That's her punishment. And the father of Sarmishta said, so be it. So be it. And then Devyani became happy. Now, throughout your life, I'll keep you under my control and you'll be my servant maid. You know, women get angry sometimes. They can do all sorts of things and fight with each other and curse and do extreme things. So it happened. And then by the father and Devyani's arrangement, Devyani and father talked together and said, I must marry only Yayati, I promised. And I know no other man but him. And so King Yayati was very happy to marry Devyani. But Shukracharya was very intelligent. He looked at Yayati on the day of his marriage and said, never will you have any extramarital relationship with this servant lady Sarmishta. Okay, watch out. He told him because he's a king. And it was common those days for kings to have affairs with and they're called Dasiputra. Like, Vidura is considered to be a Dasiputra. Vyasadeva conceived him. So Dasiputras are very common in the palace and they'll be hanging around here and there and they'll get pregnant also. And the king will look after them also. Kshatriyas are like that in those days. Today, if you talk about all these things, they'll say all sorts of things. But this is a different climate and a different society and a different type of culture. So it so happened that they went together and Devyani and Yayati were a very happy couple and everything went on and Devyani got pregnant and got sons. Then Sarmishta felt very much, I'll never be able to get a son. For permanently, I'll be a servant or what? I can never get married. The only way is to ask the king to give me a son. So she approached King Yayati and said, you're a Kshatriya. You can't refuse a woman's request. A Kshatriya's religious performance is that if a woman requests, you must give a son. And like this, she approached Yayati. And Yayati said, this is, what can I do? Father said, my father-in-law said this and that. So what? How is he going to know? Anyway, I'm doing my religious duty only. It's nothing wrong like that. And then he had an association with Sarmishta and she became pregnant. When she became pregnant and from the palace, grassroots gossip and everything, Devyani came to know that this is the son of my husband Yayati. And Sarmishta is pregnant. My gosh, she got so angry again and she ran away from the house. I'm going to my father and complain again. Just you wait, what will happen? And then, Yayati ran behind her and caught hold of her feet and massaged her feet, said, don't go and spoil everything. Please, you're so wonderful, you're beautiful, you're that, you're like this, that is simply this, then I said, get lost. You dirty husband, you lusty husband, just you wait what I'll do for you. And she ran to the father again, pet of the father. She went and told, this is what this man has done, my husband. So again, Shukracharya got super angry and he immediately cursed Yayati. You would be cursed with old age and invalidity. You become useless. He cursed because of your lusty nature. And in front of him became an old man. Brahmana, very powerful. He became such an old man. He begged, don't do this to me. I have not yet satisfied my material requirements. I have not yet enjoyed life enough. When he saw him, suddenly he struck to Shukracharya. My gosh, this is the husband of my daughter now. My daughter has got a husband who's so old and she will also get completely crazy. Then he quickly thought of something. He said, okay, I'll give you one concession. You can exchange your old age with Anybody else who's willing to give the youth to you? That's my concession to you, because you have to suffer for what you did. So Yayati went to his sons. He's got 3 sons from Sarmishta and 2 or 3 sons from Devyani. He went and said to them, I have not yet finished my enjoyment in life. Can you give your youth to me? So the eldest son said, Father, I have also taken birth for enjoying only. If I give my youth to you, then how will I enjoy? And then the other one said something like this, like this. The third one said this, and everyone avoided, because every soul has got his own program to enjoy. Whether it is a father or grandfather, why I'm going to give up enjoyment? Sense gratification, nobody will give up. That sacrifice, nobody will do. Very, very rarely somebody will do. And that rare person was the last son. His name was Puru. Puru, he said, Father, this body belongs to you. You only gave me this body. And a son who doesn't satisfy the father, listen to the father, is as good as stool. He reasoned according to religious principles. I am your son. I belong to you. I must listen to you. And if you have a requirement, I want to serve that requirement. Uttamaschintitam kuryat proktakari tu madhyamah adhamo ashraddhaya kuryat akarto ucharitam pituhu. He told him, sons are of various types. Uttama is one who understands what my father, my guru wants and instantly acts even before he talks. Topmost son. Then Madhyama is that person who after he told only he does. Then the third class, low class, is he grudgingly does. What my father told me to do, this nonsense. I don't like it, but I have to do it. And the fourth class is that person who refuses to listen to what the father says. He is as good as stool, amedhyam. Don't talk about him. Akarto ucharitam pituhu. Don't talk about him. Like this, he spoke very fully and gave his youth to his father. Yayati became again youthful. And then he enjoyed with his wife, Devyani. Now all our problems are settled, okay? We had some bad time in our horoscope and we went to Shani Dasha and we went through this Dasha or whatever maybe. Now it's all Jupiter Dasha. We are going to enjoy. And then they enjoyed and enjoyed and enjoyed. And they had all sorts of sense gratification. And he was a powerful king and everything. Then finally, King Yayati found that I'm never getting satisfied. How much ever I enjoy my senses, how much of gratification I have, this enjoyment never stops. It increases like fire. Dushpurena analena cha, like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Kamayesha krodayesha rajoguna samudbhava mahashano mahapapama vidyenam iha vairinam. This is your greatest enemy, Arjuna. This kama is your greatest enemy. It will eat you up. Anilena dushpurena cha. Like fire it grows. The more you feed it, the more roaring fire it will become. Be careful. Krishna warns Arjuna. Right? In the 2nd chapter and also in the 3rd chapter, you'll see that. So, Yayati is becoming old. He's becoming also wise. A lot of things he has had experience in life. And he thought and he said, what a trip this is. It's not ending. I think I slipped from the goal of my life. I'm just sitting, like it's mentioned here, Yehi samparshaja boga dukkha yonaya evate adyantavantah kaunteya nateshu ramate Buddha. Buddha, intelligent people. Out of experience, Yayati became very intelligent, said he looked back at his life in retrospect. We must actually keep looking back in our life and see how we have done till now and where are we going, what we should adjust. Then only there is growth. So King Yayati has been doing this, and now that he's pretty much enjoyed quite a bit, and he was wondering, I'm still attracted to my wife like nothing, and I, just a funny type of life I lead, and how much ever I enjoy all these matter and material things, my position and everything I enjoy so much is not stopping. And there's no satisfaction. So there's no fulfillment. I don't feel very fulfilled and happy. So then he understood by association with sages and by reading the Shastra and by reading Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavad, everything said, this is a crazy thing. And then one day, very sarcastically, he called his wife and said, I want to tell you a nice story. I want to tell you the story of two goats, a he goat and a she goat. He told an amazing story. I told you all these things to come to this story. It is the story of King Yayati, who spoke to his wife, Devyani, who finally thinks that Sarmishta is gone and everything I overcome and I'm a victorious lady and I'm with my husband and I'm having a great time. No, you're not, is what the husband tried to say. And he recollected this story. He said, I'll tell you a story. And she did not know. It's that husband, as usual, is, very resourceful and he's an amazing person. And so she heard the story. He said, once there was a he goat and a she goat. Actually, the he goat was a great, handsome looking goat. He had slim legs and he had a good waist and he had a handsome this thing and he had beard on his cheek and he had beautiful horns and he had mush. He described the goat like that. The Bhagavatam describes it very picturesquely. It's very funny. And the goat was, very smartly walking around, and one day it found some sound coming from a nearby well. And the goat with its billy goat beard, it just peeked into the well and saw, wow, there's another goat there, a she goat. And the she goat is a damsel in distress. And so he helped that goat to come out of the well. And the he goat looked at the she goat. Wow, what a beautiful form you have got. You have beautiful looking face, no beard like me, but you look great. And your legs are dash, dash, dash. And you're this and everything. He looked, and then the he goat and the she goat proposed to each other and they got married. The he goat and the she goat got married. And then the she goat found one day that my dear husband is unfaithful to me. He has got an extramarital affair with another she goat. And the she goat got angry and ran away to her herd and community. And then the he goat ran behind. And the wife, Devyani, is looking at him and saying, is he speaking about me? He's slowly recollecting the same story. He said the whole story again, falling in the well. And then it's mentioned here in this story, he said it like this. And then the father of the she goat castrated the male goat. So he could no more. So the Bhagavatam speaks about it in a different way. And then, therefore, the he goat became very sad. And then he was given a boon like this. And then he was able to, like this. And he's told the whole story allegorically. And then she understood fully now, what is my husband trying to tell me? He's actually telling our life story. It's a biography of both of us. In essence, it just means we had tried a lot to enjoy this, enjoy that, this, and we're back in square one. Nothing much is happening in life. Is this all life is about? And then he asked, so, my dear she goat, he started explaining, I think I'm done with it. And it's mentioned that King Yayati renounced his kingdom after speaking the story. And he put his son in the kingdom and he went away to the forest to meditate on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he said, enough is enough. I think I made a mess of my life. If I did not, at least at this time, before I die, take up the instructions Krishna has given in Bhagavad Gita, the instructions the Veda gives us, and move towards the Supreme Lord. So he left and he became a wonderful devotee after that, because he determined himself to step away from material gratification, from matter to spirit. So this is turning moment in everybody's life. At some life, you have to do it. Brahmanda Brahmite Kono Bhagyavan Jiva. Krishna is saying, in the Bhagavad Gita also, that bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate. After many, many, many janmas and experiences of matter and material nature and following that, this, everything, Vasudevam sarvamiti. Vasudeva, the Supreme Lord Krishna, is the only reality. Everything else is just a temporary thing. Because once I die, like Prabhupada says here in the purport, material sense pleasure is temporary because the body itself is temporary. You will die. But imagine if I tell you there is permanent sense pleasure, spiritual pleasure, eternal, never ends. You don't die. There is no death for you. Permanently you enjoy. Every sane man will opt for that. That's the meaning of saying Buddha Bhava Samanvita. Any intelligent person will opt for that. Right? So, material life, gratification, material enjoyment, and all that is actually good, even if you do it nicely and all that. But it is a paste. It's a very sticky thing for the spirit soul. The spirit soul has got far, far greater chances of greater knowledge, greater enjoyment than cheap enjoyment with matter alone. Because you are spirit in nature, your enjoyment should be spiritual. If you're spirit in nature and you're caged inside a material body and forcing yourself to enjoy materially, which is very low class enjoyment, then that's why you're not happy how much over enjoyment you get. You will never be satiated, never be happy. That's why Bhagavad Gita says, Param drishtva nivartate, raso varjam raso piyasya param drishtva nivartate. Rasa means taste. When you get the taste of the spiritual enjoyment, the material enjoyment becomes extremely inferior. And you can tucham. It says, I don't want it. Because I got such high enjoyment. So when you read Bhagavad Gita, when you read Bhagavad, you're introduced to the supreme absolute truth. You're introduced to the permanent. And you're told that you are permanent. Your enjoyment is also permanent. If you can connect up with the Supreme Lord. Ramante yogino anante satyananda chidatmani. That's what these intelligent people, the yogis, they meditate on the supreme absolute truth and they go for a much, much greater enjoyment. It's not that you sacrifice. It is just that you give up the lower for the higher. And it is worth it because you're stepping up. You're stepping up. So Bhagavad Gita is telling us, Krishna is telling Arjuna, don't be stuck up with this low-class enjoyment. You are spirit. You can enjoy spiritually. And beyond that, you can enjoy devotionally also with me in a relationship of rasa. And there are higher and higher and higher levels of enjoyment. So why stick on with this cheap enjoyment, right? So that is the message from Bhagavad Gita. Very important message. And somehow we titled it the Goat KATHA because it is attractive for a lot of people. And people go, oh, Goat KATHA Maharaj is speaking on, what is that? I've heard of Krishna KATHA, I keep hearing it, I mean, but Goat KATHA I've never heard of. That must be interesting. And many got interested because it is Goat KATHA. It's like Socrates, it seems, the famous Greek philosopher Socrates. He was sitting and saying, you must be questioning everything. Don't accept things just like that. You must question. He had a Socratic questioning method of understanding what's the truth. It's very famous. In Western philosophy, even today that is used. Even teaching that is used. Everybody knows about it. So he said, you should ask questions and all. So he went to the marketplace and he was telling people this. Everybody is saying, yeah, nice. They're respecting him, but they were getting on with their business. How much is that? Can I buy it for this much? I sell it for this much. This is much money I'll make. So he was saying, people never listen. They're so absorbed in all these material things. So one day Socrates put a box upside down, stood up in the marketplace and said, I want to tell you a story. It's a story. Oh, that guy again is trying to talk to us about that and this. And then he said, it's a story about a donkey. It's one of the businessmen here brought a donkey for sale. And there was another guy who came to buy the donkey. Oh, that's interesting because it's something like what we are doing. So everybody started hearing. Then you know what happened? He said, I'm going to use this donkey and do a big business. I want to sell my goods, but nobody is buying the goods here for a good price. So I'm going to take the donkey and go across the hill and sell it in the other town there. I'll get more price. So I need a donkey. So he went to the guy who brought the donkey. Everybody became interested. Wow, that's interesting. And slowly people started coming around. And then he said, that donkey, he said, I'll give it to you on a rent, but by the night you should return to me. And it costs so much. And there are some conditions. He said, okay, I'll have to come with the donkey, because if you load the donkey too much and all that, and the donkey has to be fed, it has to give rest and all that, it will die. So if you don't, so I'll have to come with the donkey. He said, okay, I don't mind. I'll pay you the money. So here is the goods you should take, the donkey. And then they went. They went up the hill, very difficult. The donkey was being pulled, and somehow the other, they climbed on top of the hill, became very, very tiresome. And then this man said, listen, I've rented your donkey, but I want to take some rest now. I think even the donkey can take some rest. But then, I don't have shade anywhere. The donkey, you make it stand here under the shade of the donkey, I will sleep. Then the owner said, no. Everybody became, what did he say? What did he say? No. He said, you hired only the donkey. The shadow of the donkey, there is more rent for that. What nonsense are you talking? And then, wow, this is an interesting story. More people came inside. The market became flooded with Socrates standing and talking this. And all of them around. Hey, how did he manage that? Did he take the shadow or not? Did he pay the rent? This is a lot of talking going on. And then at that point, Socrates stopped. He stopped talking. And they said, please, what happened? He didn't say anything. He just kept looked at everybody and said, please tell us what happened. Please tell us what happened. Was he able to get the shadow? Did he pay rent for the shadow? Or did the donkey this thing? Socrates just got down from the box and started moving. Everybody moved. He said, please tell us the story. Please tell us the story. He said, you idiots, I made up this story. When I spoke about ask questions, you didn't ask me questions. I made up the story and you are asking all these questions. Now, it's a story I made up just to make you listen to me. And they're, oh gosh, this man has come back to haunt us again. So for the same reason, I called it Goat Katha. It becomes interesting to people. But the information is the same. We want to give you the same information as for Bhagavad Gita. That Krishna is inviting you with this amazing message of the Gita and telling you, get back to me. Manmana bhavamat bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mam evaishasi satyam te pratijane priyosi me. Such beautiful instructions the Bhagavad Gita is. With such great interest in us, our Supreme Father Krishna is giving us these instructions. But somehow we don't have interest. We are so absorbed in matter and material things. And we are so busy with the he-goat, she-goat stories of each of us. And we relate it, we write books on it, and we release YouTube videos on it. And we are on Facebook. Everywhere people are talking about he-goat, she-goat stories, romantic stories, tragedy stories, that story, this story. But in the end, you die. I don't know who will sit and read the story again. But Krishna is telling, Najayate mriyate va kadachan nahanyate hanyamane sharire. He's saying for the soul, there is no birth, no death, you're eternal. And if you develop that in that respect spiritually, then there is great work done by you in your life. The goal of human life is to achieve God, love of God, and go back to the truth, the reality, the eternal. I'll stop there. Om Tat Sat, Hare Krishna. If you have any questions, you can ask now and we will try to answer them. You can also post it in the chat if you want. So here is one. How can we keep and develop consistency in spiritual practices? Vasan Akhitam. Okay, Vasanji, how can we keep and develop consistency in spiritual practices? Good question. You see, like I said, we have a force of material attraction. The soul is attracted to matter because Bahunam Janmanam Ante. So many janmas have passed, so much of association with matter, so it's stuck, helplessly, hopelessly stuck. It's only God, it's only Krishna, by his mercy, can we get out of this situation. That is mentioned very nicely. And that is why Krishna has given us the scriptures, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavad, and all of that. And in that, there are instructions, what you should do. And the main instruction there is, one must seek a guru, a counselor, who can talk to us and help us and guide us on our path. You can't understand the scripture by yourself. You will tend to speculate. And even if you understand to some extent, you don't know how to practice it. So for all these reasons, we need a guru, a teacher, whom we will surrender to. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshyanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. So we should seek such a guru, a proper bona fide guru coming in the parampara, and we should take instructions from him. Just like Arjuna also took instructions from Krishna, he told Krishna, Sishyaste aham shadimam tvaham prapannam. Accept me as your disciple and instruct me. And then the whole Bhagavad Gita was spoken. So in the same way, we must accept a guru. That's the first thing we must do. And then, according to the Guru's instructions, we must practice. And there, the sub-rule is that you must have association of people who are doing similarly practice. You get inspired by their association. That's why Prabhupada has started the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, ISKCON. So in that, like-minded people get together, they hear Bhagavad Gita, they discuss Bhagavad Gita, they practice and they exchange and get techniques and other types of things with each other, and they become successful gradually, right? So when you are in the association, you accept a guru. When you're in the association, you read Bhagavad Gita daily, and you get together and habitualize it. Make it a habit. Even a good thing needs to be made a habit. We are very good at making bad things habitual very fast. The soul is very fast at learning bad habits. But learning good habits takes a little longer time. The world is filled with people who have bad habits, actually. It's very easy to pick up bad habits. So Prabhupada's ISKCON and the devotees there, they all practice. You should get into the association of devotees, practice good habits. And devotees get together, they chant Hare Krishna, Krishna's names together. They discuss Bhagavad Gita like this from somebody senior, and then they go home and practice it. They invite other people to their homes. They hear Bhagavad Gita from them. They worship Krishna at home, and in this way they have a new lifestyle which is very increasingly attractive to them. And like I mentioned to you, they get a higher taste. In this way, they will become consistent in company of others in their practices, and they'll develop a new habit. I hope that helps you, Vasan. What is spiritual? Sandhya Nair is asking me, what is spiritual enjoyment? Oh, interesting. Just like we have matter, material enjoyment. I am spirit, so I have spiritual enjoyment. So spirit soul actually needs spiritual enjoyment. And that's why any amount of material enjoyment will not satisfy the spirit soul, because it has already tasted spiritual enjoyment. That's the meaning of Ramante Yogino Anante Satyananda Chidatmani Iti Rama Padena So. That's the meaning of that higher taste. The soul already needs that. It's looking for that. But it's looking for that spiritual enjoyment in the wrong place. It's like you want to eat sugar cane and you get a bamboo stick which looks very similar. You can chew it out of shape if you want, but you'll never get that sweet juice. You will never get that experience. You will never get that, taste. So the nature of the material world is the spirit inside matter is incompatible. Trying to look for the spiritual enjoyment that you want inside matter is always a disappointment. So how much ever, that's what happened to King Yayati. He understood finally, I'm getting ragged by my attachment to matter. There's no end to it. It's just a ragging. And he got out of it. So we should know that spiritual enjoyment is the real enjoyment, because I am spirit soul. I am not this body. I am not matter. I am not matter. I am not this body. Right? So really I will get enjoyment only in the spiritual realm. Spiritual enjoyment is enjoyment in relationship with Krishna. That is called Adi Rasa. Adi Rasa, original enjoyment. It's a type of enjoyment that the gopis and Krishna have on a very high level. There is nothing material about it. There is no lust involved in it. It's only pure prema, love. It's diametrically opposite to what we think is material enjoyment in this world. That is the height of spiritual enjoyment. And there are levels of it also. It's a great topic and a big discussion. But enough for you to say, enough for you to know that I am not matter, so I can never get satisfied with material enjoyment. And material enjoyment is temporary, like mentioned in this verse. It comes with the contact of matter and sense objects with the senses. Sensual enjoyment. Indriya Sukham. The Bhagavad Gita mentions that. Okay? That will give you some idea. We can pursue that further later. And there is some other question here from Shalini. Guruji, can chanting be done in the bed? Clarify. Well, if you're a bedridden person and you have some health problem, yes, you can do on the bed. Chanting is nothing material. It's not even a religious thing. It is a transcendental, beyond religion activity of the soul. So anything material cannot spoil it. So don't worry about it. You can, if you're unhealthy especially, you can definitely chant in your bed. Nothing wrong. It's not a Vedic mantra that you're chanting. It's the nama of the Lord. Tatrarpita niyamita smaranena kalaha. Actually. So you can chant. There's not a problem. Okay. Divya Vishwambhara Das. Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam, please advise what do you mean by parampara, as you were telling now, how to find that I am in right parampara, how to identify this bogus spiritual cult practiced in India, etc., etc. Divya Vishwambara Das, I think you already know this because you've got a name called Divya Vishwambara Dasa and you're asking this, and I think in the subsequent Gita programs that we are planning will be specifically covering this. So I will take very less time to answer that. Parampara means authorized, bona fide series of Guru Sishya. Disciplic succession is called parampara. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu. Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita in the 4th chapter that this knowledge is coming in the parampara from sun god onwards when he gave it to them and it's coming down in line. So we accept this only in the bona fide chain. If anybody is speculating on his own and giving his own version of the Bhagavad Gita, we should not accept it. That is not parampara. We are giving you knowledge exactly as Prabhupada gave it. Prabhupada is carrying it down from his guru, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and he is carrying it down from Bhakti Vinoda Thakur. He is carrying it down from like that, right up to Krishna. Very carefully it's being carried down without any subtraction, without any addition, without any speculation, very carefully handed down. It's not tampered with. So that is what only parampara, in the parampara can you get this knowledge. Therefore, we should seek a proper guru who is coming in the parampara. Just like you don't get taught engineering and medicine by any Tom, Dick and Harry on the roadside who thinks he knows engineering. We don't want to go to them. We go to a bona fide college authorized by the government, and then only you'll want to study engineering or medicine. Same way, spiritual knowledge also should be got from a bona fide source. That is the parampara. Okay? Valli Krishna Maharaj, how could such a superior enjoyment of spiritual life been thrown that easily by Jivatma for low class sense enjoyment initially? That's the nature of the Jivatma. He is the Tatashta Shakti. He is in between material and spiritual energies of the Lord. And he's got free will. And he's an individual. So God is not forcing himself on him. Since he has got individuality and free will, he can act this way or that way. But it's a temporary thing. Nobody can tamper with your permanent situation of you being a spirit soul and you having a relationship with the Supreme Spiritual Lord. So this is a temporary Maya, material illusion. So you can always get back. But the son always makes mistakes. He's learning slowly and the father corrects him. That's about all. Really speaking, your material life is a flash in eternity. Unless you decide to make it quite long. Instead of a flash, you make it a straight line. And that will be like millions of janmas together. So it doesn't really matter because you are eternally a spirit soul, eternally associated with the Supreme Lord. You can always get back to it. But because of individuality, because of free will, anytime you can do that. You may do it again also after knowing this. That's your choice. So we have the burden of individuality. And that's why Krishna doesn't tamper with our individuality, our free will. And he's giving us good instructions. And out of that, we must act. So it's a test of our individuality and our free will. So we should opt properly. So Sri Lalita, is there a difference between devotion of Yayati of Prahlad Maharaj? One was an exalted devotee from the beginning and one enjoyed completely till the end, but destinies, okay. Anyway, sometimes people take it up. Prahlad was a devotee right from birth. He got Upadesh while he was in the womb. And before in his previous lifetime also, he did some fantastic thing for him to be born like this. King Yayati is that soul in a period of time. You are getting the story at a period of time when he's gradually becoming a devotee and realizing who I am and acting like that, taking that effort to act. In his next life, maybe he was somebody else, a big pure devotee like Prahlad, we don't know. So at a time in your timeline, when the change came about, that portion is being told in the Bhagavatam. We don't know the history of that soul before and after or whatever. But different souls take it up at different times because they're at different timelines in different levels of realization. It's not one size fits all education like we have. All of you 8th standard students, come here and learn this, like that. Different people learn differently. And that is allowed by the Lord. His school is very different. The material world is a school for spiritual life to be learned. Okay? Yeah. Rama Subramaniam Dandot Pran, how to shun material designations while practicing spirituality. The same thing. We have to develop a taste for something higher. It has to come naturally. No point doing it artificially. Let's do it naturally. Let's develop a higher taste. And Krishna is offering that. He's offering prema. He's offering bhakti. He's offering a relationship. He's offering himself. Why not develop that taste? And automatically the lower material taste for designations, name, fame, popularity, enjoyment, all that will pale in insignificance to this. Okay? That's why we should chant Hare Krishna with feeling, and we should practice bhakti yoga carefully. Sujita, whose son was pure? Son of Devyani or Sarmishta? Both were pure because they were all born according to religious principles only. That is not made a distinction of in the Bhagavatam. But in the way they exercised their free will, Puru became a greater recipient of the mercy, and Puru became the king after Yayati. And of course, Puru treated all his brothers equally and gave them ruling kingdoms and all that. That's also mentioned. Durga Prasad Menda, how do I come out of Duryodhana mentality? We didn't discuss Duryodhana today, but I understand. Like I know devotion is great, but I am not able to follow the practice. You'll be amazed to know even Duryodhana said something similar. You should know this. Janami, what is that shloka? Janami pravriti. I forget the shloka, but he said, see, I know what is right and I know what is wrong. But there is some great liking I have to do the wrong. And I got some great pressure that pushes me to do the wrong. And I feel happy about it. Why? I don't know. Janami adharmam, janami dharmam. What is that? He says, I don't know. I forget this. It's a very interesting shloka. I don't know, something inclines me towards this. And because of that, I like this. So it's mentioned that Duryodhana is an Asura. He has that Asuric mentality. Asuriyas tat viparyayaha. Viparita. Always liking to do things in opposition to the main. They like to oppose. You always, like they have the opposition of the government. Keep on telling wrong things, whatever the right things going on. You get some rasa and happiness out of. And some people are always negative. You'll see that anything positive going on, so they'll speak the negative. There's a tendency. So we should actually make sure that we don't get the Duryodhana mentality by mixing with Duryodhana type of people. So therefore, you please mix with Arjuna type of people, the devotees of the Lord. You will avoid the Duryodhana mentality. You can kill the Duryodhana mentality inside you. There is more to it. We will talk about it at a more opportune moment. Krishna Priya, Hare Krishna Maharaj, please give us some practical tips to overcome ignorance quickly. Well, what is ignorance? Let's define ignorance. Ignorance means ajnana. I don't know. That's what is ignorance. So, educate yourself. Get to know. That is important. That's why we are gathering knowledge. Vidya and avidya, two things are there. Isa Upanishad says, Isavasha Upanishad, Vidyamscha avidyamscha yastat vedo bhayagum saha. One must know both. What is ignorance and what is knowledge? If you know both, you can avoid the ignorance and get to the knowledge. The problem is people think what they're learning as knowledge, they think it to be the real knowledge. It is not. What knowledge you're getting of matter in this world is knowledge that keeps on shifting and changing constantly. But real knowledge, absolute truth, will not change. Just like millions and trillions of years ago, sun was rising on the east only. Until today also, sun is rising in the east. It's not that science has made advancement and therefore sun now rises in the north. Can never be like that. So there are some principal aspects of the reality, the truth, the absolute nature. When you get that knowledge, you got real knowledge. So the first step towards that, Krishna explains in the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, you should understand the difference between spirit and matter first. That he calls as basic knowledge. Kshetra kshetrajnayor jnanam yattat jnanam matam mama. My opinion, Arjuna, one who knows the difference between matter and spirit, he is knowledgeable. And that we are not taught in our schools and colleges. We're taught only about matter, not about spirit. When you pick up the Bhagavad Gita, you're learning about spirit. You're learning about your spiritual dimension. I am spirit soul. But all the time you're only taught matter. That is ignorance actually. That is ignorance. Bhagavad Gita tells us that very beautifully. Therefore, now what you're cultivating, I am spirit soul, God, my relationship, Sat and Asat, your understanding, that is knowledge. Okay? So the more you cultivate this, the more you come out of illusion, the more you're in permanency. So cultivate knowledge. by reading the Bhagavad Gita scrutinizingly, scientifically, logically, and deeply understand it. And you will have real knowledge, and then you can put this knowledge to practice. Then you get realization, conviction, and you become situated in the truth. That's the process described by great acharyas. Okay, Krishna Priya. Shobha Krishna, wonderful class, Maharaj. So much. I don't understand. Desire is like fire, and fulfilling desire is like adding fuel. More we try to fulfill one's desires, we become frustrated. Okay, you're commenting on it. You like that. That's a shloka from Bhagavad Gita. Dushpurena analena cha. All right. Right. Anup, that breakout room meeting is cancelled, so you don't have to worry about it. Thank you for being present here, and I think from next week there'll be also other alternatives offered to you. So for all of you who have visited for the first time, nice to be with all of you here. I think many of you from Gulf and other places. So very happy to see all of you. May Krishna's blessings be on you, and may you have sweet dreams of Krishna today.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Don't think of goats in the night today. Think of Krishna. The goat katha was only used to lead you to Krishna katha. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Good night. Good night.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.